Living in the city, I couldn't imagine being a city kid, growing up without acres and acres of, field and sky to play around.
A yard.
Yeah, a yard, very important. So yeah, I think the upbringing is it's one of those small towns. I feel a lot of people who are born and raised there.
Our own home and our own garage, and not a single complaint ever.
Man and music, and I knew that was what I was going to gravitate toward, and I suppose gravitate's a good word too, because the
day I went into the back closet room and I found a guitar case, and I was like, what is this? I didn't know we had one of these. And then I was like, okay, well, who plays it? I kind of went upstairs and, Dad, do you play? He's like, hell no. Not Josie. She's my sister. She's younger than I am. And then I kind of fell flat a couple times, gave it up for a couple years at a time, got back to middle school, joined middle school band. And that was something kind of cool. The first experience with other musicians creating like a sound. But I still had no gauge of what we were actually doing.
Right, and that's where magic happens.
And that's from the point in middle school, we all hooked up and started playing whatever we wanted, whenever we wanted. And it was like, okay, there's that sense of freedom in it too, and it's unstoppable.
And then school took the back seat. That's where it gets interesting.
Learned about weed,
heroin, we learned,
cocaine.
We grew up quick.
It wasn't a pretty scene.
Yeah, it wasn't pretty. I only seen the pretty things. Like a growing family, and these people who are involved in your work, which is something kind of very personal. And things get ugly when you start.
I mean, it's not really art at that point. Even when you're creating your own personal
art. It could
be
John Denver.
That's a good point, but
that's an exception maybe.
And it was
right,
like,
just the mess.
This isn't a garage anymore. Are we going to be loud enough? That's not our worry. But we had all sorts of things, I had all sorts of things that were going through my head that were never there before. And then the biggest thing is closest ever to our hometown shows.
Dow Event Center.
About 30 minutes away from where we grew up. So that felt really nice, and we had a lot of family there, and we had a lot of support there, and that helped being where we were at as a band at the time, because we were an opening band for Bob Seger, and we knew that the majority of the crowd had no idea who we were.
You're fine.
Yeah, no, take all the time you need.
You're good.
One of the best at what he does, which is to almost personify everything. Like the music, the look, it's kind of a really, really cool moment, like a really cool block of a couple months in my life where I was like, yeah, this is something special, and he's a really special human being.
And see, this is where we get the
So growing up, we saw Metallica everywhere. It was in all the video games. It was they're a statement band, and to have been invited, absolutely, it's yeah.
Very grateful for that.
Very grateful for that.
But like I said, when we went in the studio with Al, we learned up quick a lot of things. We got hip to a lot of techniques and things that we never even thought of or could ever dream of. And it was the first song. It's the most kind of basic, like slap you in the face, like Greta Van Fleet rock and roll. My recent favorite right now is Always There.
Yeah.
And because its journey was kind of the opposite of most of our songs, and it just unfolded itself. It like revealed itself to us very, very quickly, because we were just in the studio environment. It was like the one of the last bass stuff and some Mellotron on it, and it was done. And that's what I think was so amazing about it, is it exists in this such small frame of time.
Mm-hmm.
So small that I almost don't really remember it. But
Age of Man was a fun one. That was a really cool one, because that was at a weird point where we had been on the road for a while, and then all of a sudden we had given time to Haunted Ass Cabin with ghosts and
in the Chattanooga mountain range, yeah.
And one night, again, one of those things where just there was a riff, there were a bunch of